Today I have actually a little bit of a strange topic. It's not strange, it'll make sense in the end. But as I was preparing, I just remembered something that I had read earlier in the week. And as I started to reflect on it, I started to get a sense of where this teaching would go this morning. So the title of my talk today, the title of my teaching today is actually called The Mixed Multitude. And it's going to make sense, right? So I'm going to be reading a few scriptures, going pretty fast, but I'll be dropping them. And I do owe you guys recordings and scriptures from the last couple of weeks. So I promise to read those, to post those. So let's just get started. Exodus 12:29 to 38. And it came to pass, I'm just setting the context here because it's really actually verse 38 that's my verse of emphasis. And it came to pass that at midnight, the Lord smote all the firstborn in the land of Egypt. This was when, the plagues and all the rest of it, and Moses leads the people out of Egypt. From the firstborn of Pharaoh that sat on his throne unto the firstborn of the captive that was in the dungeon, and all the firstborn of cattle. And Pharaoh rose up in the night, he and all his servants and all the Egyptians, and there was a great cry in Egypt. For there was not a house where there was not one dead. And he called for Moses and Aaron by night and said, Rise up, get you forth from among my people, both you and the children of Israel, and go. Serve the Lord as you have said, and take your flocks and your herds as you have said, and be gone, and bless me also. And the Egyptians were urgent upon the people that they may send them out of the land in haste, for they said, We be all dead men. And the people took their dough before it was leavened, their kneading troughs being bound up in their clothes upon their shoulders. And the children of Israel did according to the word of Moses, and they borrowed of the Egyptians jewels of silver and jewels of gold and raiment. And the Lord gave the people favor in the sight of the Egyptians, so that they lent unto them such things as they required, and they spoiled the Egyptians. And the children of Israel journeyed from Ramses to Succoth, about 600,000 on foot that were men besides children. Verse 38 is actually my verse of emphasis. So all that long story is just to give you verse 38. And a mixed multitude went up also with them, and flocks and herds, even very much cattle. Now, I'm sure most of you, if not all of you, know this story. And I can probably bet, if I was a betting lady, that this verse 38 has never really stuck out to you. It's something that was almost just slipped in there as we were talking about, oh, praise God, the Israelites are finally leaving. The Egyptians are like, go. And they spoiled the Egyptians and they took everything. We're focused on that. And verse 38 is slipped in there, almost like you read it and you don't even see it, right? At least let me speak for myself, but I wouldn't be surprised if all of you would say, yes, me too. But listen to this, a mixed multitude. Now, it may not be a big deal until we start to get to some other scriptures. Leviticus 24:10 to 14. I'm going to be reading really quickly. And I'm also going to take us to the New Testament as well. So Leviticus 24:10 to 14 picks it up. Listen to this. And the son of an Israelitish woman whose father was an Egyptian. Now, if you think about that, you're like, wait a minute. What's going on here? Think about slavery in the US, right? How a lot of those slave owners, they be having their way with the black slaves, and there were a lot of mixed race babies that were being born in that instance. We know this. Just if you live in the US, you know this. So when you read verse 10, it kind of, if you're listening, because again, this is a verse I've read so many times, you're like, wait a minute. What's going on here? How is the son of an Israelitish woman? So this was a woman who was an Israelite, whose father was an Egyptian. So just that verse alone, there's so much there, but let's keep reading. Went out among the children of Israel. Now, I don't want to make this about race, so I'm hoping you will stick with me to get the message, right? Went out among the children of Israel, and this son of the Israelitish woman, and a man of Israel. So the Bible is very distinct in saying here, this person is the son of a woman who's Israelitish, but their father was Egyptian, which means they're not pure Israel, right? And a man of Israel strove together in the camp. And the Israelitish woman's son blasphemed the name of the Lord and cursed. And they brought him unto Moses. His mother's name was Shelomith, the daughter of Dibri of the tribe of Dan. They're very clear to say he has Israelite blood in him, but he's not purebred. And again, I'm not making this about race, but just stick with me. And they put him in ward that the mind of the Lord might be showed unto them. And the Lord spoke unto Moses, saying, Bring forth him that cursed without the camp, and let all that heard him lay their hands upon his head, and let all the congregation stone him. So the point I'm trying to make here is if you go back where it says, and a mixed multitude. What does that mean? It means that they were not all purebred Israel. They were not all pure from God's perspective, the people of God. There was a mixed multitude. There were diverse people amongst them, which may not be a big deal, right? Whatever. But here, the point I'm trying to make here is, could it be, the Bible doesn't tell us, but could it be that this person who had an Egyptian father was striving with someone who was a child of God and cursed the name of the Lord? Could it be that they had the gumption to curse the name of the Lord because they were not purely of God? Do you see where I'm going? Stay with me, right? As we go to Numbers 11, verse 4-6, because now we're starting to see how, even though it was slipped in there when the people of Israel were leaving, we're starting to see how the mixed multitude are potentially causing issues. So if we go to Numbers chapter 11, verses 4-6, and then I'm going to go to the New Testament to try to tie it up and how this relates to us. So stay with me. Numbers 11, 4-6 says, and the mixed multitude. Remember now, we've defined what the mixed multitude is, because it's like people who went out, who were partly Israel, partly Egyptian, all kinds of people were smuggled in with the people of God. But you can see instances now where, because of that mixture, there are problems that are arising. Here it says, and the mixed multitude that was among them fell a-lusting. And the children of Israel also wept again and said, who shall give us flesh to eat? We remember the fish which we did eat in Egypt freely, the cucumbers and the melons and the leeks and the onions and the garlic. But now our soul is dried away. There's nothing at all besides this manna before our eyes. So again, what I'm trying to say here, and I'm not dwelling on each one, I'm just trying to introduce you to the concept of the mixed multitude and how it applies to us. In this context, when you read verse 4, the mixed multitude fell a-lusting. It doesn't describe what lusting was, but either way, we know it's not a good thing. And so as a result of their lusting, whatever they did to influence the children of God now start to complain about, who will give us flesh to eat? We're tired of this fish. We're tired of this. I mean, we remember the fish. We remember Egypt, where we ate all these kinds of foods, and we're tired of this manna that God has provided us from heaven. So do you see how, even though in the beginning the mixed multitude was snuck in there, the instances, and I'm sure there are more, I just haven't studied in depth, there are instances where, because of the mixed multitude, there are problems that are now arising amongst the people of God. What I want to do now is start to tie it up to how it applies to us, right? Because we're still thinking in the concept of people. And even when we go to Matthew here, Matthew 13, 24-30, when Jesus is talking now about the tares and the wheat, it is still in the context of people. But what I want to do is start to talk about our own lives. So when we go to Matthew 13, 24-30, again, it's this concept of the mixed multitude. Here, the context here is wheat and tares. So I'll read it out for us. It says, another parable put he forth unto them, saying, the kingdom of heaven is likened unto a man which sowed good seed in his field. But while men slept, his enemy came and sowed tares among the wheat and went his way. But when the blade was sprung up and brought forth fruit, then appeared the tares also. So the servants of the householder came and said unto him, so you see what's happening here at night. It's kind of an undercover thing. Nobody notices until the blade starts to spring up and bring forth fruit. And now the tares are appearing also. And of course, presumably, now they're causing problems with the original wheat, right? So the servants of the householder came and said unto him, Sir, did you not sow good seed in your field? Where did these tares come from? And he said unto them, an enemy has done this. The servant said unto him, will you then that we go and gather them up? But he said, no, lest while you gather up the tares, you root up also the wheat with them. Verse 30, let both grow together until the harvest. And in the time of harvest, I will say to the reapers, gather you together first the tares and bind them in bundles to burn them, but gather the wheat into my barn. So as I start to tie it up together, I want to read the last verse that I want to read, and then I'll explain how I'm tying it all together, is Matthew 13, 36-43. I hope you're tracking. I follow this preacher who always stops and says, if you're following, give me a thumbs up. If you're following, give me a thumbs up. So if you're able to react, that's good, but I'm just going to keep going for time. I'm assuming you're tracking. So Matthew 13:36-43 says, Jesus sent a multitude away and went into the house, and his disciples came, and they're basically saying, explain to us the parable of the tares of the field. So listen to this. Verse 37, he answered and said unto them, he that sows the good seed is the Son of Man. Remember, we talked about it in the context of the pure people of God and the mixed multitude. Now we're talking about the wheat and the tares. The field is the world. The good seed are the children of the kingdom, or the children of Israel, however you want to look at it. The tares are the children of the wicked one, or the mixed multitude. I'm kind of tying it together. The enemy that sowed them is the devil. It's the devil all through, even with the mixed multitude that fell lusting. The harvest is the end of the world, and the reapers are the angels. So as therefore the tares are gathered and burned in the fire, so shall it be in this end of the world. The Son of Man shall send forth his angels, and they shall gather out of his kingdom all things that offend and them which do iniquity, and shall cast them into a furnace of fire, where there shall be wailing and gnashing of teeth. Verse 43, then shall the righteous shine forth as the sun in the kingdom of their Father. Who has ears to hear, let him hear. So I want to tie it together really quickly. We've talked about it in terms of people, the mixed multitude, the tares. Even Jesus talks about the tares being the evil people and the wheat being the good. But listen to this. We can talk about it in the context of our lives. If we are the good seed, yes, of course, we need to be careful about the people that we hang around, because the people we hang around, mixed multitude or the tares, will influence us for the kingdom. And a day is coming where there will be a separation between the wheat and the tares. That's kind of obvious. But I want to take it a level deeper. I want to talk about our own lives. So if you imagine in every life on this call, myself included, I can use myself as an example. In my life, there is good seed, there's also tares. Now, if you think back to Genesis, when it said, oh, you're rejoicing, the people of God are leaving Egypt, a mixed multitude was kind of snuck in there. A mixed multitude also left with them. In my life, because we're all on a journey. So I want to use myself as an example, because I think that's the safest thing to do. In my life, there are good seed. Yes, I want to serve God. I'm growing or whatever. But there are also things in my life that may seem like they are innocuous, or they are harmless, or they're no big deal, just like the mixed multitude was snuck in. But as I'm growing in God, those things are also growing as well. And at some point, those things, whatever they may be for everybody, will start to interfere with the good seed, because we're growing together. You're growing together. But here's what's interesting. If we go back to what the word of God was saying, when God was saying the harvest is the end of this world, it's interesting. It struck me because in my life, if I think of myself as an example, I can declare my harvest today. I can say it is the end of the world in my life. Do you see what I mean? Because it's at the harvest, it's at the end of the world where the wheat and the tares are separated. Because I would tell myself this: if I don't take care of the tares will eventually have an impact on the good seed. And that's the whole purpose of the enemy. It's the things in our lives that we think are harmless, that are sneaking in there. It's no big deal. But initially, it's no big deal. But as we grow, start to become problems in our lives. And so it's a call for me today to say, today is my end of the world being the end of the worldly things in my life, the end of the tares in my life. And the prayer I ask is that the reaper angels of God, that God will send forth his angels to separate the things in my life from the good seed, so that the things in my life that are tares, the things in my life that constitute a mixed multitude that can influence the good seed, be ripped apart and burned. Right? So it's a call. It's a long kind of reading to kind of tie it up together. But it's as we journey with God, it's a call to all of us, myself included. As we journey with God, those tares are no longer acceptable. Because as we start to climb in our journey with God, one thing about God is he desires relationship. He will demand a greater separation, greater consecration, greater sacrifice, greater love, to the point where the tares and the seed become so apparent, and the tares can no longer continue to grow alongside the good seed. The mixed multitude can no longer kind of just be influencing things and causing issues, because they will cause issues in our walk. So verse 43 is our call of that Matthew 13, which says, then shall the righteous shine forth as the sun in the kingdom of their Father. This is what happens when the tares have been ripped out and burned, right? The righteous then can shine forth. And this is the call for me. It's a call for all of us, for our righteousness to shine forth as the sun. And it can only do that if the tares are separated. We all know, and we may not even be aware. Because remember, the mixed multitude, I don't know how aware of them the people of Israel were. They just snuck in there. I don't know how aware of the tares. The tares did not become apparent until the fruit of the wheat was harvesting. So we may not even be aware of some of the things in our lives that we need to get rid of, that I need to get rid of, right? 2 Timothy 2 verse 4 is kind of where I want to end before we go into our prayers. It says, no man that wars entangles himself with the affairs of this life, that he may please him who has chosen him to be a soldier. And I always, you guys know it's a theme with me. I always think of this in the context of us and how we are called to be part of God's end time army. I've said this before, as mothers, as women, as people that God has called in these days, as daughters in arms, as part of an end time army. The Bible is very clear here. It's like if you're warring, because an army goes to war. We're not just an army to sit around and look cute in our army uniform or whatever. It's actually to go to war. And no man being male or female, in this context, us, as daughters in arms, no one that wars entangles himself with the affairs of this life. Why? So that he can please him. And that's the goal. He can please him who has chosen him to be a soldier. Out of the so many people God could have chosen, he has chosen us to be part of this end time army. And so because of that, we want to distance ourselves from anything that will kind of entangle us or constitute a mixed multitude in our lives or constitute a tear.